everyone. I am Melissa Mitchell of ABO Creations, and I will have the opportunity to warm up the stage today for our wellness retreat. So let's talk about wellness for a minute, because many of us do too much, right? I know myself, I had to balance myself to come out, even to come to Essence Festival. So today we're going to talk about burnouts and boundaries. What if the thing holding you back isn't discipline, but a lack of permission? In a culture that rewards burnout and perfection, many leaders lose themselves, myself included, while chasing success. This session blends wellness and entrepreneurship to help attendees to step out of overwhelm and burnout to reconnect with clarity, confidence, and sustainable growth. So today we're going to learn about how to reclaim your time, reclaim your energy, and how to redirect. So I'm going to bring out Dr. Tiana Reed to help me bring out some amazing women. We're going to have Whitney Dodds, Hyacinth, and Jasmine. So let's give it up for our lovely panelists, y'all. Hello, ladies. You're going to get us right and tell us how to deal with this wellness and not be so burned out, right?
Yes.
All righty. There you go. I'll be back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, welcome everyone to Essence Festival. Thank you for taking time out of your essence to spend a little bit of time with us to talk about wellness and how to manage it how we manage it as founders. I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Tiana Roussel Reed. I am the owner and founder of the Wellness Apothecary, a skincare and wellness brand for women that choose to bloom. I'm also trained in integrative medicine and health and wellness coaching. I am a proud Xavier University of Louisiana graduate, so I'm happy to be home. Right now I practice public health pharmacy in the Washington, D.C. area, but this is still home, so it's always great to come back out. So I'm joined here today with three incredible female founders, and so I'm going to give them a moment to give us their name again, what they do, and I'll let you all get started.
All right, so I am Hyacinth Tucker. So I am the proud owner of the Laundry Basket. So we are a platform that provides full service, on-demand laundry, dry cleaning, and alteration services straight to your doorstep 7 days a week. So we operate in Maryland, D.C., Northern Virginia, Atlanta, Houston, and Cleveland. So nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Whitney Dodds. I'm the founder of Wellness for the Culture. I am a licensed mental health counselor in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and North Carolina. Hi.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Lewis. I am the founder of eBeauty. We are actually in BeautyCon, so if you are interested in learning more about our brand, please come see us after this. I'm also a licensed esthetician, and our brand is for dry, sensitized, and dehydrated skin at the intersection of beauty equity advocacy. Thank you.
Awesome, ladies. So I want to set the tone for this discussion. So as women of color, we often wear that superwoman cape as a badge of honor, right? But we know that it eventually takes its toll. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of our health and prioritizing us both mentally, spiritual, and overall. So I'll start with our first question, and I'll start with Jasmine first. What was the moment you realized the way you were working wasn't sustainable anymore, and what did burnout actually look like for you?
Okay, so I was going to come up here and give a PC answer, but I'm not. I would say literally physically and mentally exhausted. Like, I'm forgetting things. I'm having halfway conversations with people that I love. I'm showing up halfway and not 100%, even in like one-on-one conversations. Or even in spaces like this, like, if you're physically and mentally exhausted, I think that's like what it looks like. And burnout could turn into like, I don't even care, or, oh well, like that's just kind of what it is. And I think like being able to recognize it so that you can start to will it back, so that you can reset is really important. But I was going to, but I'm like, that's really what it looks like. I'm just, just being extremely tired and exhausted. And not even being able to communicate clearly and not knowing that you're not doing it either.
Exactly. Sometimes we don't notice burnout until it's too late. We're already burned out, right? So it's important for us to get ahead of it. So I'll let Whitney go next for answering that question.
So I'm a therapist, so I treat people with burnout, and I also use myself as the test dummy, is what I like to call it. So I live it, so y'all don't have to. Okay. And so I found out too late, and I was at my black woman PCP, and she said, Whitney, you're 33. I'm gonna put you on blood pressure medicine. And that was strike one. And then I went to my black woman dermatologist, and I said, my hair's falling out. And she said, sis, you're 33, you got too much stress. And so I was like, okay, I think I need to reevaluate how I'm working, what I'm doing, and through the reevaluation, I was like, oh, you're a therapist and you didn't even notice you were burnt out. That's insane.
Yeah.
So burnout looked like consistently striving, it looked like not letting go, it looked like people pleasing, it looked like trying to save face and just over-productivity, over-production, and the inability to fail or look like I failed. And it was literally killing me.
Yeah. And just one thing to note, cardiovascular disease is the top killer in African American women. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind of. Like, you want to make sure that you pay attention to the signs and symptoms that you may have when it comes to issues with your heart. Hasien?
Yes. So for me, burnout was definitely nothing dramatic, right? It was something gradual that just kind of happened. And so what's interesting is that I own a business that is all about giving people rest and relaxation and taking things off of their plate, right? So that they won't be burdened by life. And then I felt like I was burdened. So I would take on everything on myself. And I was kind of like, okay, I have to have clear-cut rules on when we're answering calls and operationally how we're doing it, because I have to make sure that I am, doing the best that I can to help other people. And so when I realized that what I needed was more systems, right? So what I needed was teams, and what I needed was clear-cut boundaries when it came to the business. And so that was what helped me to actually establish more, boundaries so that we didn't have the burnout. And so that was a big change for us.
So that leads me to the next question. So I'll start with you, Hasien, since you already started talking about boundaries. So what boundaries did you begin setting, and how did you give yourself permission to prioritize your well-being first?
Yeah, so I had to realize that being a leader, it doesn't mean that you have to be available for everything and everyone at all times, right? And so the first boundary I had to set was with myself, and giving myself permission to believe that. And so what it also did, of course, was, like I said, making sure that I understood that when I gave people tasks, like, it really can't be tasks, right? They really have to have ownership, because when you just have a task, that means you're just doing a thing. When things happen, guess what? They're coming back to me, right? So then I become the bottleneck again in my business. And so I had to realize that I had to give people ownership, so that it's like, these is exactly what I need you to own in the business. Yeah. And so when I realized that, then that is really what helped me as far as setting that boundary, with me and as far as the business. Because if I'm not my best self, then I can't, show up for my team. I can't show up for my business.
Awesome. Jasmine, how about you? And I can repeat that for you if you need me to. So what boundaries did you begin setting, and how did you give yourself permission to prioritize your well-being?
I would say number one is being aware of, like, what my real bandwidth is, and not the one that I have, like, created in my mind that I think that I can really do, and basically building off of that, being able to say no and being okay with it, and saying, hey, I really don't have the capacity or the bandwidth with this, and that has been helping. A lot of the conversations that I've been having recently, even like leading up to festival, like, I had a lot of opportunities with FIFA. And I had to tell them, like, I don't have the bandwidth. And I really wanted to do it, and I knew what it was going to do for me if I did do it. So it was like, yeah, that would have been a great opportunity, but I want to be able to show up for Essence, love on my people here as our second year, and at least give as much as I can.
Yeah, because you definitely want to take time to soak in the experience too, right?
Right.
Yes. Whitney, how about you? And I can repeat it again for you.
I think so.
So what boundaries did you begin setting, and how did you give yourself permission to prioritize your well-being?
Thank you. Okay, so again, it wasn't something that I just said aha to. As a therapist, something I hate is when people use the word self-care as like the fix-all solver problem. And I'm like, there's no glass of wine or nail or petty that's going to solve this. And I was in Greece, in Santorini, in a wedding dress with my 10-year renewal, thinking about payroll and how I was going to do payroll all over again. That was the moment I prayed and I said, God, please just give me peace, please. And he said, peace is a choice, Whitney. Peace is decisions every day. Peace is balance. Peace is no. Peace is that I can't just give peace, because when you go back into your everyday life, you're choosing things that do not serve you. So that's the decision I had to make. Every time I am asked to do something, every time someone is needing something from me, it is, do I feel peace in this? Do I have capacity? And not just like, I don't want to do that. Realistic. I can show up better here, like you said, with my people. I can show up better with my children. And I think that was a problem, too. I was coming home, and I was not the greatest mother.
Yeah, I know as founders, a lot of us are moms, we're caregivers. We also have full-time jobs, and we have full-time businesses, so it's a lot. So you have to make sure that you pace yourself, you prioritize the things in your life that you need to make sure that you thrive and survive, right? So I want to take us home with our fire, our fire round of questioning. So if someone leaves this session today and can do only one thing differently starting tomorrow, what would you tell them to do? So I'll start with Whitney first.
Okay.
I would tell you that what if you were the one that considered yourself an expert? I think we come to these places and you're looking for us to tell you and you want to be reinvigorated, but if you would have listened to yourself, say, maybe I should eat breakfast today. Maybe I should. You are the expert in your life. So if you ask yourself and answer truly, I think lives would change.
Asiya?
Okay, sure. So I think that I would say, so the first thing is realizing that your well-being is not separate from your business, right? It is, if you cannot show up right for yourself, then it's hard for you to show up for other people. So I would say for you to find one thing that no longer serves you, right? What is one thing that you can actually either delegate, you can delete, or you can automate it? And then I would think that starting like tomorrow, see how you can put some type of systems in place to do that.
Jasmine?
I was actually going to say that system, but kind of a little different when it comes to look at your list of things. Because, like, for me, I'm a checklist person, and, like, I like to work off checklists just throughout my day. And some of the things, I put all as high priority. And I need to reevaluate, like, is this really priority, and what is going to happen if I don't do it? Like, is this priority because I'm saying that it's priority, or is it really going to have an impact on something? So, for me, I would say, look at what you're saying is priority and what is going to be the impact. If it's not an impact at all or in a positive direction, I would just say it just need to go.
So I would also tell the audience today, we don't think about how important sleep is. And so sleep is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself each and every day. We think that we're running off of 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and that's enough for us every day. But eventually, it takes so much longer for the body to keep up when you haven't prioritized sleep. So one thing I would tell the audience to do is to make sure that you figure out a system to help you go to sleep at night. So turn off your phones. Get that blue light out of your face at least 30 minutes before you get ready to go to sleep. Turn off the television. Don't sleep with the TV in your room. Maybe you have to take the phone and just turn it off altogether. So whatever you have to do to prioritize your sleep, because your brain is like your main computer, right? You want to make sure that you can reset that computer every night. So if you keep operating on a computer that hasn't been reset, right, you're going to have a lot of issues. So I want to make sure that I thank everyone for being here today. Oh, we have more time? Oh, we have more time. Sorry. So I'm going to ask an additional question since we have more time. So as founders, I want to make sure that I ask, we talked a little bit about boundaries, but how did you make sure that you set the boundaries with the persons that you have in your businesses? Because we know we have to have the boundaries, but how did you go about doing it? Because sometimes it can be hard, right? People don't like to hear no. So I'll start with Jasmine first.
I think sometimes if you don't set those boundaries, you run into an issue where you can hit a stage where it can be detrimental to your relationship with that person. So if you say yes and you committed to something and they're dependent on you for this thing and you can't show up 100%, you risk losing the person just because you couldn't tell them that you didn't have the bandwidth. So that's kind of go back to what's the impact? Is it going to be positive? You can't show up 100%, or even if it's not 100%, if it's the 100% that they need, if that makes any sense. For it, I just think that you're going to have to set the boundaries, because is it worth your social capital? Is it worth the relationships that you build? Is it worth the relationships with your loved ones or anything, partners, exhibitors, however you want to lay? Is it worth that relationship that you've built years of building?
I see it.
Okay. So listen, entrepreneurship is not easy, right? So when you get into entrepreneurship and as a founder, you realize there's some hard decisions that you have to make, right? And so your job as the founder is to be the captain of the ship. And so it is very important that you take that seriously, right? And so it is something where you find people, the right people in the right seats. And that is what I think sometimes is the hardest thing to do. But it is making sure that the culture that you create in your business, it's all about the culture that you create. Because as the founder, sometimes you are not the face. Sometimes, like in my business, I'm not the one washing your clothes. I'm not the one delivering it. So I have to depend on the people that I hire, right, to be the face of the brand. And so I have to make sure that the boundaries that I set so that we can still have a business that's sustainable. Because what's another thing is that we have businesses that are not sustainable, right? And so we know how it is when they talk about Black-owned businesses. I can't do the quotation marks because I had the mic in my hand, right? But we have to make sure that we're doing the correct things so that our businesses are sustainable. And one of the things is that we have to make sure that we're leading the ship correctly, and that is going to involve boundaries. If I see that you're nasty, guess what? We're going to have a talk, right? Because I can't have you being nasty, right? If I see that you're not following the rules that we've set, we're going to have a talk. So those are also the boundaries when we talk about it, as well as making sure that our businesses are sustainable.
Whitney?
Yeah. So how I set the boundaries was first with myself of what I can and what I can't do. And then it was really just being transparent with everyone. I know, this system is supposed to look like this, but it's maybe not the Google system at full. We don't got AI to transcribe your notes this week. I can't afford that one. Or like payroll looks like this week. And if you like it, and you love it and you understand entrepreneurship and running a business, fine. I'm happy to have you stay. But understand also, you got to pay bills, you got kids to feed and all the other things. So if this is not good for you, you are more than welcome to go. And it was a loss, and I think I lost a couple of employees the same way. So but at the end of the day, I was calmer. I was free to be transparent and let everybody else make their own decisions. So that's kind of how I set the boundaries. And not telling them everything all the time. And I forgot I was the boss, I think.
Yes. We want to make sure that they can be autonomous sometimes, right? So let me ask you ladies this. How has prioritizing your own wellness, mentally, physically, spiritually, actually made you a better leader and better at what you do? I'll start with Jasmine.
It kind of goes back to what you said about just being able to show up whole and fully. Like, you have to be able to lead the team, and if you can't lead the team because your mind is everywhere, you're not in a good space, you're not feeling well, and you're not feeling well consistently, and it's because of underlying things like stress that's like just killing your body. Yeah. It's just like you can't show up 100% and give the people that look to you to lead the ship in a sense in the right direction. And they also start to lose confidence and faith in you when they realize you're not even making this a priority. How do we know anything else is going to be a priority?
Hasia?
So, of course, I'm a big proponent of outsourcing and delegation, being a laundry company. And so what I always say to some of our clients is sometimes we have to take off this cape, right? This cape of we need to do everything ourselves, and that I don't want to ask for help. And my mama said this is how we're supposed to do things, so this is how I'm doing things. But also having conversations like this, right? Because as many times as we continue to have these conversations, we make people understand that it's okay. It's okay, right? Life sometimes, it is where you're just like hustling, but there has to be a time of rest. So even though I'm out here working, trust me, I'm going to have a good time out here in New Orleans, right? So this is going to be like my rest time as well. So we have to take off this superwoman cape, have the laundry basket, launder it, and put it in the closet, right? And so it is really about making sure that the whole you shows up at every time.
Yes, I love that. How about you, Whitney?
So I recently lost 20 pounds. That was just
Girl,
stress.
amazing.
I made the choices of saying, you come or you don't, you do or you don't, and if not, I'll live. I can do it. I am able and I am capable. And I realized I started singing again. I was cooking dinner again and not eating the kids' snacks for survival. And I was like, did you just make a steak and a salad? Look at you. And so, like, I was eating healthier. I had the brain capacity, the bandwidth to actually take care of myself physically. And then I showed up better at work. My clients were bouncing around now in session, and I'm happier. I'm more joyous. And just because of small yeses and probably big no's for some people.
It's one step at a time, right? Well, I want to thank everyone for spending time with us today. Can you guys quickly tell us where to find you, and then we'll close it out. I'll start with Jasmine.
So you can find us at V Beauty X. So that's V as in Victor, I-E, B as in boy, EAUTYX on all social.
You can find me at Wellness for the Culture. That's .com. You can book a consultation or anything you need on there, and every social is still Wellness for the Culture, and that's THE, not a 4.
And you can find me at the Laundry Basket Delivery on Facebook, Instagram, and of course the website. And then come hang out with me on LinkedIn as well. I love to meet some new people.
Awesome. And you can find me at Dr. Tayana Reed on IG. You can find me at The Wellness Apothecary on IG. And then you can also find me at twapothecary.com. Thank you all so much for your time. Have an amazing Essence Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you.